Hello, and welcome to a new series I'm trying. It started as a thought experiment during work, and I just thought, why not actually record these? Welcome to Smash D20, a series where I take a look at the roster of the Smash Brothers franchise, which is Nintendo's great compilation series in a brawl-style fighting party game. Don't hurt me, because a lot of people are trying. The competitive scene doesn't like to call it a party game. It is supposed to be, I think, but never mind. But we take the roster in this series. We take the roster of Smash Brothers, and we try to build them as characters in a tabletop RPG, particularly using the D20 rule sets I am familiar with. That being certain editions of Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, if necessary D20 Modern, and I think there is a sci-fi space version, the D20 Future or whatever, to try to make them as actual playable characters in your campaign. Seeing as this is October and all Halloween spooky time, I decided this first episode would be taking a look at two characters that are very similar, so this will be a short episode. The renowned vampire hunters of the Belmont clan, Simon and Richter. First, let's take a look at their classes. Simon is a big, muscular guy. You'd almost want to say barbarian, but no. He has very clearly come from a society, and never once do you see him rage. But Simon is a pious man. His religious overtones are well documented in many bits of his lore. And that's why I believe, without a doubt, Simon Belmont is a paladin. Big, strong, strength-focused paladin. Richter, on the other hand, is not only smaller in stature, but also less of a openly pious individual. Many of the Smash Brothers moves that they've given the Belmonts were invented by Richter and are very mobile. That is why, as a build, I believe Richter would be far closer to a dexterity-based fighter than Simon would be. I was thinking rogue, but really thinking about it, no, Richter is far less sneaky and more straightforward. He's definitely a fighter, just dexterity-based. Moving on to gear. Simon, according to his Smash Brothers design, is clearly wearing leather armor. Hardened leather armor if your particular role-playing setting has any difference between types of leather armor. Whereas Richter seems to be wearing plain clothes for the most part. Therefore, no armor. Possibly using his higher dexterity to his advantage instead. Now on to the gear that's shared between both Belmonts. We've got to go with the biggest one of all, the Vampire Killer. Now, it would be very tempting to label the Vampire Killer as a whip, add some special qualities, and call it a day. But when I look at the Vampire Killer, it doesn't look like a whip to me. At least not the Smash Brothers version, the fully upgraded form from the Castlevania series. It looks more like a particularly long flail, especially with this spiked ball at the end, and it being a chain rather than a conventional whip. So for this build, I made the Vampire Killer into a +5, because why not? A +5 flail with reach. And just in case flails can't get reach, DMs can bend the rules a little bit, so yeah. Vampire Killer is a flail with reach, and of course it is holy. The Crucifix Boomerang is a boomerang, which inherently has returning attached to it. If the rules in your setting make it so boomerangs cannot be fatal weapons, this one can be. Add that feature. And it is also holy. The axe was an interesting one for me to do. It's clearly a throwing axe, but it has a lot of weight and impact to it. And so, what I simply did was make them oversized throwing axes, incurring the penalty of using such. They aren't exactly accurate, as evidence from Smash Bros. Itself, where you can hit with it, certainly. If you do things right, you hit with your target. But I wouldn't exactly call it as accurate as a normal throwing axe would be. But the damage would be unmistakable. Lastly, that brings us to the holy water. Now, holy water is a thing in most of these games. But seeing how it behaves in Smash Brothers when the Belmonts use holy water, it leaves behind lingering fire, just as it does in the Castlevania series, and that's something that normal holy water doesn't do. But what does do that is Alchemist's Fire. Now, I have no doubt that this is, in fact, still holy water, which is why I believe that the Belmont's holy water must be some kind of new creation. A mix between holy water and Alchemist's Fire. Or Blessed Alchemist's Fire, which is actually not that hard to do if you're a flexible DM. That's all I have for this base episode. I'm just testing the waters here. If this series catches on in any way, I'll definitely put more work into future episodes. But I hope this is a good base for being able to create the Belmonts in your campaign, whether you are a player or a DM. I'll try to make another one of these next month and flesh it out a little bit more. This feels a little short, but it is a new series. Until then, may your criticals hit and have a smashing time.